welcome to this video tutorial on painting 1/35 scale flesh tones on figures. So in this tutorial we're going to be using AK's flesh and skin color set, which is AK 3010, so AK 3010. It's a 6 color set. I really would recommend it. It's good value for money. I've been using it on all my figure builds now since I got it a couple of months ago. So the set includes base flesh, light flesh, highlight flesh, shadow flesh, dark shadow flesh, and then a cheekbone glaze. For 1/35 scale models, this is just my style of painting. I tend to only use the first 3 colors in this set, which is base flesh, light flesh, and highlight flesh. Also, since the figure we're going to be working on is in fact a German tank crewman, this is from Dragon's Achtung Jabo set. Very good figure set from a few years back. A little bit hard to track these down now, but you can find them on eBay, though you will pay a pretty penny for them. And I've replaced the head with a resin head from Warriors, I believe. All that's done is the model has been base coated black, and the base flesh tone, which is base flesh AK 3011, has been applied via airbrush. The only color outside the sets that we will be using is Citadel's Agard's Earthshade, which is a kind of an earthshade wash, and that's going to be applied to certain parts of the face to simulate grime, since he is a tank crewman. For paintbrushes, there's various brushes you can use. I tend to paint exclusively with Winsor & Newton cottons. They're good brushes, relatively inexpensive if you're willing to invest a couple of euros into your brushes, and they hold up considerably well. So the 4 brushes I will be using will be a quadruple zero. You can barely see the point there. That's going to be for doing eye detail, which we'll be covering in this. A number 0, again, long bristle. For blocking work, we'll be doing a number 2 long bristle again. And then for any other more heavier work, especially his beret, which I won't be covering in this tutorial, but I'll be painting up as well. We'll be doing a number 3. Again, you don't need to use these brushes, though I would recommend some decent pointed brushes, because you will need them. The paints are acrylic, so they will be tinned with normal water. They are light enough paints, so I wouldn't suggest tinning them too heavily, or you'll just lose total control of them. So we're going to get started. So the first thing, I'll just take these away, is to set your model and try not to drop it like I did. So our figure has been primed black. In this case I used Vallejo Surface Primer Black. And then for the first base of flesh, so for first layering, I applied dark flesh, which is AK 3011, which is one of the darkest colors in the set, and now it's applied with an airbrush. Just built up a couple of layers, and just took time to apply it as evenly as possible. So first things first, so now we're going to take the next shade up. So we're just working on these 3 shades exclusively. It's very simple. If you want to do more advanced skin tones and more varied skin tones, you can start mixing in the other colors, but I kind of want this to be as accessible to new painters as possible, so I'm just going to keep it relatively simple with 3 colors. So now I'm going to take the second lightest color of the triad that we're using, which is light flesh, AK 3012, and I'm going to take one of my brushes. In this case it's going to be a number 0 long bristle, again from the Winsor & Newton cotton line. I'm not going to fill up my brush too much with paint, as I don't want that. I'll end up losing control of the model otherwise. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the highest regions of the model's face. So his cheeks, his jawline, his nose, upper lip and forehead. And again, build this up. Take your time. It's not too difficult once you take your time. Keep your layers reasonably light and don't overpack your brush. And we still want to keep some of the base flesh showing in the crevices and creases of his skin. And we'll see now it'll start coming to life. Again, when I'm painting in his brow, I want to keep some of the base flesh showing nearest his beret. To insinuate shadow. There we have it. So we begin to build it up. And again, just break it up. Don't try to do too much too quick. It's the quickest way for disaster. Now again, I'm going to come back and start touching up this area here. I'm not really happy with it. It's a bit blotchy. And again, you can mix things in a little bit too. Again, it would be nice if I was in focus, but with the camera under my nose, it's a little bit hard to manage it all. Again, I'm using my thumb here, which is slightly out of frame, and I'm using that to remove the excess paint on my brush. Again, you don't want too much paint on your brush, as we begin to lose control that way. So there we have, we're beginning to build up the details in his face. And again, when you're doing consecutively higher or lighter tone, should I say, going from one stronger highlight to the other, it's quite easy to plot your progress. Each time you just focus on a slightly higher part of the face, each time you put a lighter colour. The easiest way to do it too is just to presume the colour, that the light is coming in from a slight angle or directly from beneath him at the 12 o'clock. So it's up to yourself. If you visualize where your light source, or even use your lamp or whatever light source, physical light source you have in your workspace, that also can be of great help. And this will also help you to visualize what to leave as shadow and what to paint as highlight. And now I'm going to come up and just paint the top of his cheeks just a little bit. I don't want to be too strong up here. And then I'm going to come in and paint the edges of his nose just a little bit better, and let that feather it back to the shade. So there we have our very basic highlight. And again, I'm going to apply this now to his neck. The neck's quite easy because there's always going to be a pronounced ridge or brow on a neck area of a model, and this is where we're going to focus most of our highlights, and also on the base of the neck here. So again, I'll put a bit more water into my paint, just a little bit, not a lot. It is quite a humid day here, so I must factor that in at all times, as my paint will begin to dry out relatively quick. A bit too much paint here, but if you get too much paint, wipe clean your brush and feather the paint that you've already applied onto the model. Again, we'll be using a little bit of a wash to tone down any extreme highlights that we've done, and the neck will most surely be given some attention. Again, just going to picking out his neck again here, and leaving plenty of shadow. And the trick here is that you can always come back and build up the highlight to a nice even coat. It's totally up to yourself and how happy you are. You can make it more intense, more subtle by doing it in layers, slowly building up the intensity. So also trying to avoid brush strokes as much as possible, and keeping transitions of colour as subtle and muted as possible. However, if you are a painter that likes high contrast, this is also a good way of doing things for you as well. I, for one, do tend to gravitate towards high contrast between shadow and light. It is just a personal preference, and again, most of us will operate under our preferences, and this is just happens to be mine. Okay, again, my paint's beginning to dry out now, I can tell, because the consistency is beginning to change. It's starting to go down a little bit like a paste. So there we have our first highlight layer, and now what I'm going to do is I am just going to change colour and we'll continue.